Hey everyone, it's Raziel here, coming back at you again with a Smite God build for the Xbox One, or any platform really for that matter. This week we're coming with Thor, the God of Thunder, or one of them at least. Pantheon seemed to like that as a common theme, the God of Thunder. But he is the Norse God of Thunder. He is an assassin. He's the assassin that you get right out of the box. He's the starter assassin that you get for free when you download the game. So that's one of the reasons why we're going over him today, because everyone has him off the bat. So he is kind of what's considered maybe a bruiser, an ability-based god as opposed to an in-hand assassin, or it's just basic attacks and everything else. Before we get started, let's go over a little bit of the housekeeping. This video is intended for new players or people who have not used Thor in a long time and just need a refresher. It is generally, basic. It will get you going, and as you develop your play style, things may change. That being said, if you enjoy the video, please leave a comment down below, hit that thumbs up, and subscribe to the channel. I'm going to keep busting out these god guides for as many gods as there are, and maybe do updates once things change, probably by the time Season 4 hits, or sooner, depending on item changes and everything else. I know this is for 3.12, so this is the mid-season patch. There's a lot of things that have happened. The things that may, be pertinent now, or I may just briefly go over now, may be a bigger deal later on. So that being said, also, you can catch me live on Twitch occasionally at @Rowsylum_Inc. As you can see right beneath my chin here, right there and there. And hit me up on Twitter. I usually post, when I'm going to be streaming, when YouTube videos come up, etc., reposts and whatnot. So that's that. We are going to go over this video. We're going to go over his abilities, or as I call it, his kit, then his relics, then his item build, and then his fighting scenarios and combos, etc. So let's just get right into it, I guess. So when we get to his kit, let me start off by saying I use the Savage build on Xbox One. For that reason, my button layout may differ from yours if you're on the Xbox One. If you're on the PS4, it's obviously going to be different, and the PC and Mac have a different UI altogether. So, to cut down on the confusion, I'm going to go over his kit as 1, 2, 3, and 4. 1 being all the way to the left, 4 being his ultimate. This way, it will clear up any confusion on button mapping for any platform. So, as we go on here, we're going to first go over his passive, which is Warrior's Madness. It's a buff to himself, and anytime he's around an enemy god, he gains physical power for up to 30 physical power, 3 stacks of 10. This is good because usually he's going to be maybe not initiating, but once the team fight happens mid to late game, he's probably going to be in the middle of it. That's just his play style. So he's going to gain an extra 30 physical power, potentially, every team fight. Obviously, if you kill a god, it's going to drop off as things go on, but at that point, people are pretty hurt. Or they should be, alright? So we're going to go over his 1 here, which is Mjolnir's Attunement. It's his hammer. He throws his hammer, Mjolnir, forward, doing damage to all enemies in his path. And it comes back to him. So if hit twice, minions will take half the damage, while gods take double damage from the return. While the hammer is flying, pressing the button again will teleport the Thor to his hammer. So this is what is used to escape or close the gap between enemy gods. If you played him before or played against him, this is how he gets from point A to point B so damn quick sometimes, and you don't know how the hell he did it. He double taps Mjolnir's Attunement, his 1. Obviously you don't want to do it as quick because then you only go like a foot. You want to try to, for best results, you try to time it when it's at its max distance before it starts coming back. Now this damage, max rank is 210 plus 30% of your physical power. And if you buy enemy gods, you get that extra little buff too of 30 potentially, etc. It's good for wave clear. It's good for chasing down enemies and getting the hell out of town if you're getting pooped on. His 2 is called Tectonic Rift. It goes in a line. This is what it's the Earth, or it looks like a spine sometimes, depending on what skin you're using or whatever. He slams his hammer into the ground, Mjolnir, causing a fissure to appear in front of him, stunning enemies and blocking movement. This item is annoying as hell if you are going against a competent Thor, because this can shut down your momentum, either by actually stunning you or blocking the path. If you use this, you can set it up for combos, which I'll go over a little bit, and you can save teammates, from getting chased down. This is his pretty much his CC ability. The cooldown's not too bad. It's only 17 seconds before cooldown reduction, so it's going to be even less than that if you go max cooldown. And it lasts for 4 seconds. And it can stun for almost 2 seconds. So a lot of stuff can happen within that 1.6 seconds at full rank. It's a very annoying. It's right up there with Athena's freaking taunt. One of those annoying abilities. Kumba's freaking mez. Anyway, his 3 is Berserker Barrage. This is his staple wave clear or camp clear if he's jungling. Enemy god damage kind of thing. This is the thing that's going to hurt a fair amount. He spins around. He spins his hammer around, Mjolnir, doing damage every 0.4 seconds for 2 seconds. So, that's like 5 times. I can't do freaking math. And he's immune to knockup for this duration, which is, pretty good. There's definitely many forms of CC with this. But, it does 100 damage per tick. So if it does it 4 or 5 times, simple math, I can't do it right now. We'll say 5 times. That's 500 damage, plus an additional 45% of your physical power. So, if you're a squishy, that's potentially, even before your additional percentage there, that's a quarter of your health from this one ability. Combination with his other abilities and his enemy, his teammates teaming up on you, you could die pretty quickly. You could get melted. You see this a lot. Like I said, this is a staple move. The cooldown's only 13 seconds, and that's before, max cooldown. So, he can spam this, quote unquote spam this pretty frequently. Now let's go to his ultimate, his 4. Anvil of Dawn. After short build-up, and if you've seen this, you know what the short build-up is. Thor leaps into the air. While in the air, and he hovers there, he can target a great distance and come crashing down in the area, dealing damage in an area and a stun within that area of effect. It's essentially his initiation, right? This is one of the reasons why he's pretty damn good as a jungle, because he could use his ult from the Gold Fury, from the Fire Giant, and be up in the air, and you would not know if he was on the enemy team. You would not know he was there. And he comes crashing down on you, does a combo with the solo lane, with the dual lane, and you could be potentially 100 to 0 in a few seconds, like just melted. This is his initiation move for the most part. It does 350 damage at max rank, plus 120% of his physical power. So this does a good amount of damage. So, we'll go over the combo in a little bit. We'll demonstrate it. But, you ult in, you barrage, you tectonic shift if they try to run away, and you double tap them with your one, and you could successful gank, essentially, what I just described. It's happened to me. I've done it as well. It's usually how things go when you're going against or playing with a Thor, a competent Thor. No pro, but if I understand combos and rotations and stuff, Thor can do very well in the jungle, and you guys can dominate. His mobility is pretty damn good with his one, etc., and his semi-global ult, because he can go a fair amount of distance in that in the ult. So that's a quick overview of his kit. Very brief. Again, we'll touch base on this when we're going over his combos at the end of the video. We're going to go into, next we're going to go into his relics. Again, I say this every video. This and the item build is situational, depending on who you have on your team and who the enemy team has. If you have, for example, the example I always use, if there's an Ares on the other team and any other god that has a decent amount of CC, Medusa, Ymir, you know, but mostly an Ares would pretty much dictate you're going to go with this purification, you know. It gets you out of the crowd control effects for 2 seconds. The cooldown's pretty high, so you got to avoid that Ares because his cooldown on his ultimate is going to be a lot less than 160 seconds. Even whatever it is after cooldown reduction, if they apply to relics, I cannot recall. That's for another day. So you're essentially going to get purification off the bat. I usually put it there, and that is my X. It's the closest to my right thumb, so I hit that, and that's why I switch it over to that slot. His second one, most likely, will be sprint, and this is because it will allow him to chase down the enemy gods. Now he is fairly mobile, but his mobility also is a fair amount of damage. So if you cannot reach the enemy god with your kit, then why waste the mana? You can pop sprint, you and your friends, your allies, chase him down, and you guys can just all get him together. Most likely sprint will be used. If it's not, I mean, you could have already 2 or 3 sprints depending on what your allies choose for relics as well. If you don't want to go sprint, another good one is curse to slow them down. But if they have sprint on the enemy team, that negates curse. And you could also go with frenzy. Frenzy is a good one that I go with when I'm trying to split push and get towers down. That's a good one as well. And if you really, really need to, Sanctuary is always good if they got a new Wa, a Neath, anyone else with that kind of global or annoying alts like a Poseidon Kraken. You pop that, it saves your ass, you turn around, and you melt faces. That kind of scenario. But for this, we're just gonna go sprint. That's probably a good. If no one gets sprint on your team, that's a good one to go. Sprint, frenzy, those are the 2 top ones probably, other than the Sanctuary and/or Purification. Again, all situational, depending on who you're going against on the enemy team. So now we're going to go into his item build. Now his item build is going to be for Conquest. It can be used for primarily every mode, except you may not pick up the starter item because the starter item is Bumba's Mask, and it's essentially just a Conquest starter item. It doesn't carry well over to Clash or Assault at all because there's no camps in Assault, and but the rest of it can carry over to other game modes fairly well. Assault is always different because it depends on what it's random, so they could have potentially all magical, all physical, and you might want to go defensive at first so you stay in the lane a little bit longer, and etc. It's Assault though. Assault's its own breed because it's all random and what's not. So that being said, like I said, his starter item is gonna be Bumba's Mask. He's a jungler. Plain and simple. If you're jungling with him, you're gonna want Bumba's Mask because it pretty much you do 2 damage to minion camps, and it heals you when you kill them. So that will sustain you, especially early game. That will help you out a lot. Mid to late game, you're gonna destroy the jungle camps a lot easier than early. So you won't need Bumba's Mask as much. So if you need to sell that earlier than you normally would because maybe you're ahead or you really need that item, you can go with it. But Bumba's Mask is your starter item. And then you'll probably, go, I would say normally go with a Power Pot if you feel comfortable with it. In the next patch, after this one, in 3.13, which is coming out soon for the PC, they're getting rid of the power pot for both mages and physical users until they figure out how to rework them. So power pots are out. I usually don't go power pots because for some reason every time I power pot, I just get destroyed. I lose my 450 gold, and I'm moping for the next 5 minutes. So Bumba's mask, and then probably just go into warrior tabby as you can. You probably get the 300 warrior tabby, whatever that boots down there, and then 3 health pots, 3 mana pots, and you'll be golden for a little bit. By the time you get your first back, you'll have warrior tabby complete. After that, you're gonna want to go into Jotuns, straight up Jotuns, because it's gonna give you that physical power. Like I said, he's a bruiser. He does burst damage. He's gonna do his abilities, maybe clean up with a few basic attacks, and then get just get out. Let his team clean it up. If he couldn't, or regroup, re-engage, wait for cooldowns, and then do it all over again. Wash, rinse, repeat kind of scenario. But you want the physical power. It gives you a little bit extra mana. You want the penetration because that's always good against, especially tankier gods. But more importantly, you get the cooldown of 20%. The cooldown reduction, so your abilities, your kit cycles a lot sooner.
Excellent.
After that, you're gonna go. I suggest going Breastplate of Valor, because most likely the opposite team, the enemy team, is gonna have a hunter, another physical assassin in the jungle, and then a warrior in solo lane. So that's 3 physical. That's what I'm looking for. Physical damaging gods. So this will help because it gives you physical protection, a good amount, might I add. 75 physical protection is pretty good. It gives you extra mana, and it gives you that cap on the cooldown reduction. So at this point, you're at max cooldown. Pretty good. The next item people generally go is where is it? Titan's Bane. Now, I think I touched base on this a few gods in the beginning. I don't usually use it because I use more. My playstyle is more in hand more at times than not. But this is good for the bursty bruiser type of gods because it gives you physical power, but it also gains 33% penetration. So you're going up against a couple warriors for some reason. They got like a Bellona or a Raven in the jungle instead of an assassin. This will do well because you're getting all that penetration. You're going to be doing, quote unquote, true damage to the enemy. So penetration is good. Insert joke here. Moving on. So we're going to buy Titan's Bane next. Now, this is definitely mid-game at least at this point. You could have sold your Bumbas maybe if you feel confident enough. You just refreshing health pots, especially if you got a healer too in mid lane. You're pretty confident you may not need Bumbas, So another one people can go with, and I don't usually build this, is Brawler's Beatstick because it gives you physical power and it gives you more penetration. That's good. But usually, I want to say this, more times than not, I only use this. Sorry, I had to crack my neck there. I only use this if there's a healer on the enemy team. One, you, Hell, Aphrodite, etc., etc. Chang'e, frickin' Chang'e. I use this so I can beat on Ra and everything else. Otherwise, I might be more inclined to go with the crit. Or, since you're going to be getting rid of Bumba's Mask, I would go with a lifesteal item. So I'm going to differ from the norm here and get a lifesteal item. Which could be one of two. You could go with Aussie, which is the item I generally use because it has, attack speed, lifesteal, and it also has that physical penetration. And, it gives you an extra lifesteal if you drop below 15% health, etc. But you could also just go straight Bloodforge. And I think I'm gonna, for this one, I'm gonna go Bloodforge because he's more of an ability-based god. So we're gonna throw Bloodforge in there. Plus, if you get a kill, you get that shield, and that'll help you with escaping or re-engaging on the next enemy who's low, etc., etc. So at this point, if you haven't already, you're gonna sell Bumba's Mask. Now you can pick up Brawler's Beat Stick here again. You can pick up something else. I would pick up probably, if you need a tankier item, you could go Hide of the Urchin here, or some kind of cloak, if the mages are starting to poop on you. If you feel confident enough, you can get the crit. Again, you're not going to be doing many in-hand attacks, so the crit would have to be off your abilities. So you may not get as much benefit as if you were, had your attack speed higher. But there is, there's this one. If you crit, your movement speeds will increase. Or you can go straight up Deathbringer. I'm just gonna pop Deathbringer in here. This build differs from the quote-unquote norm, but I think this will help you out. Now, Deathbringer can be substituted with a defensive item if you need it. Or if you need to close that gap, you could go Haste of Vitalis. You could go, the Wind Demon. Now, there's also a few other items, which I do not know if I can see any here. Like this one here. Ritual Dagger. Alright, let's just take a look at this. This is one of the new items. It gives you health, it gives you cooldown. Well, you don't want this if you're going to go Jotun's and Breastplate because you're overcapping cooldown. But the only benefit really to get this, and it'd be a later game item, is the 50% extra effect on your relics. Then there's this. What is this? This new? I don't know. That's one of the new ones. I know there's another new one too. I just don't see it, so I'm not going to go over it in this video. That's the item build. That's your conquest item build. Boot, Warrior Tabby, Jotun's, Breastplate of Valor, Titan's Bane, and then you can kind of differ after that. Those four are the core. Then you can go, Lifesteal. You can go into Brawlers. You can go in Defensive, depending on if you're getting pooped on, if you're ahead, etc., etc., if you're doing just fine, and whatnot. I like having Lifesteal in there, no matter what, just because you're low. You don't want to go all the way back to Fountain, but you have a few, mid camps and everything else you can beat on just, with basic attacks to get your health back up. So that's that. We're going to go over now his combos and fighting scenarios. So this is his basic, not too bad. His movement's not too bad too. All right, so let's go beat on his father here. Odin the Allfather, Norse. Other Norse god, So you see his basic attacks are 323. Not too bad. Not too bad. Oh, there's a crit. So see? Sometimes that's not bad. Alright, so we're going to go over here. As you can see, here is his one. They call it double tap at times. You see he's got some pretty decent range. Actually, it can go pretty far. So let's see if I can get max range here. I'll just double tap. Boom, boom. Right there. As you saw, it was like 273, 546. Alright? So that means it does damage. So I'm going to get closer, and I'm going to double tap it so you can see the teleport. There. That's the teleport. And then, depending on where you gauge it, you can get behind them, disorient them, and start beating on them. And then you can use your 2. Your 2 here, look, you see like how I said it looks like a spine. It blocks enemies off. So if he was running and you dropped it there, he couldn't get by unless he had a leap of some sort. And if he's within here, it stuns him. So he's stunned, you can beat on him right there, okay? Berserker's Barrage, right here. As you can see, the radius is a pretty decent radius. So we'll go over to this Odin here. Look at those hits. So that was 5. I think I counted 5 there. 5 hits. We'll do it again here in a second. Beat on you a little bit. Oh, there's another crit. That's not too bad. All right, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, so my math wasn't that off. That's 5 hits there. 205. That's not too bad. So what? That's 1,000. That's 1,000 life right there. That's half a squishy. It's more than half a squishy, probably. Alright, and then his ultimate, which I'm going to come back here and do. So, before I do the ultimate, his combos are this, essentially. You can come in, they don't see you, you can start off with Berserker's Barrage. They try to run away, you can hit them with Tectonic Rift, and then double tap. If they're in front of you, you can double tap. Alright, you can Tectonic Rift, then double tap, and then close the gap as the double tap's happening, and Berserker's Barrage. So, there's a damn moth in here. Alright, so first we're going to go with that first scenario I said, and there's a third one after that, using his ultimate to initiate. So we snuck up behind them, they're busy with minions or solo lane or whatever, and I just start beating on him here like this. He starts to run away, I stun him, double tap, and then beat on him a little bit. I could also use that double tap to close the gap if my Tectonic Rift missed, and then try to beat on him again. And, you know, by that time, hopefully my cooldowns are good enough where I can hit another Berserker's Barrage or Tectonic Rift, etc. Now, if he's kind of, you know, kind of square dancing over here, he's kind of doing his thing, and he's like, oh, he can't get me, you know, okay, stun, hit Berserker's Barrage right there. As the hammer's coming back, you can do the Berserker's Barrage. Those are the three combos right there. Those are the three standard combos. You can see people do some crazy stuff if you want, but that's pretty much it. Now, if you notice below, my mana is going down fairly quickly. Another item you could potentially inject in here instead of, you know, Titan's Bane maybe, is a Transcendence. Transcendence is good no matter what. No matter what. If you think you're going to be in longer engagements, I suggest you inject a Transcendence in there, because that will keep you in the team fight longer. Now, if you're getting melted too quick, Transcendence may not help you. The Titan's Bane might be more important, or the Deathbringer, etc. Transcendence, even if it's the last item you get, Transcendence will help out if you're having mana issues. More you know. Alright, that's horrible. So, okay, the last scenario, the last combo here is the initiation. Now, I think this is good enough. So hopefully I don't miss from here. Alright, so I'm going to ult from here onto that Odin, and I'm going to do the Wombo combo, and we'll see how it goes. So, I'm going to be up in the air. Here's the build-up. Oh yeah, you can see it goes pretty far. Okay, so coming down hot. Berserker's Barrage, get this queued out, boom, double tap, yeah! Okay, see, like that would have been a lot of damage. If you do it quick, you do it fast, they don't know what the hell's happening, they'll probably have to use, you know, Purification maybe, a Sanctuary, Meditation, etc. You're gonna pop a Relic, they might ult out, and if not, you can burn them down pretty good. And if there's more than one of them there, you get that 30 extra physical power from his passive. So that right there is Thor in a nutshell. Everybody has him. Hopefully you try him out a little bit. He is a fun god once you get his quirks down pretty good. I used him in ranked for a while. Awelix is now my main, but he is a good god. Competent Thor can change the way the team fight is with his kit. You know, whether he drops the full kit or just does Tectonic Rift, crying out loud, or he initiates with his ultimate. He can also use the ultimate as a chase down effect. It's just not as effective. The element of surprise with your ultimate is more beneficial than trying to chase them down, because if you're trying to chase them down, they know it's coming, they can try to dodge. But if they have no clue you're going to be doing it because you're coming back from the Gold Fury and you're going to go in on dual lane, that's the way to go. Hopefully you don't do it to me, though. I don't want to see that in the games you go if we happen to be against each other. So anyway, if you liked what you saw, please hit that thumbs up and leave a comment below for any questions or comments. If you have a request, leave it below as well, and I will try to fit it in the next video or the rotation. I'm kind of going in a certain, hunter, assassin, mage, warrior, guardian. That's the rotation. So next week will be a mage. You can catch me live on Twitch at Razzingthem_Inc. I have a new updated schedule, so I may not be on as much because I'm trying to increase my YouTube video output. My Twitter is down here, right there. Rousing_Inc. Again, I know. Unique name right there. I post musings and whatnot on there from time to time. I hope this helped. Really do. I hope you enjoy the god, and I hope you guys get some, fantasy points or whatever, clan honor with this build. I will see you guys in the next one because I'm out. See ya.